Hello, beautiful, beautiful beings of planet Earth and beyond. Welcome to another video on the channel of Ancient Ascension. My name is Paula, and today I was just feeling, when is the human race going to be done playing the game of separation? When are we fully going to realize and feel that we are all brothers and sisters of the same race, of the same earth? We all hold the same struggles. We all feel heartbreak. We all feel pain. We all feel confused. And yes, we all actually go through the process of awakening and expanding our consciousness. Although sometimes maybe it feels like not everyone is doing that, they are in their own time, in their own way. And we are all, when it boils down to it, the same. I work at a plant medicine retreat center in Ecuador, and we receive people from around the world. And being in the space of being of service to humanity in their healing, from people from the Middle East, people from the States, from Canada, from Australia, from Japan, from all over the world, you name it. What I have recognized the most is that we all share the same experiences. It doesn't matter where we're from. It doesn't matter how we're raised. Heartbreak hurts. We all grieve. We all cry. We all laugh. And we are all, in some essence, going through very similar experiences in each of our lives. And this video is just to help you remember that separation is an illusion. That separation is a game that is being played out within humanity and all over this globe that we are all living on. The fracturing of society is intentional. The separation from nature is intentional. The separation and the confusion from truth is also intentional. Why is all of this separation so intentional? Because to be honest, I don't feel that it is innate within humans to feel such immense separation from each other, from this reality, this planet, from everything. Where is the separation coming from, and why is it here? Why I believe separation is here is because you are so much more powerful than you are led to believe. That's true. When you make yourself whole, when you fully heal all the parts of yourself that are fractured, that are in separation, that are in hate, that are in judgment, you become whole. You expand your awareness beyond all of the illusions that have been sitting here for some time. And when you connect to the truth of who you are, the truth of what this reality is to you, the truth of what life means to you, nothing can stop you. Nothing can stop you from changing the world and the reality that you live in. Nothing can stop you from manipulating this reality in a direction that you truly want to see it go in. When you awaken to yourself on that deep of a level, when you awaken to this reality around you to that deep of a level, you recognize how much power you hold in yourself, in your thoughts, in your words, in your actions, in everything that you have, in your choice. You hold so much power in how you want to exist in the reality around you. Remember that this reality at the end of the day is a mirror. It's a reflection machine. And part of the separation from ourselves, the separation from each other, the separation from the truth of who we are, and the separation from nature is a very, very easy way to keep us feeling powerless and like we have no impact on this reality around us, which is so not true. So not true. And the reality is that we agree to make ourselves small. We agree to take the power out of our hearts and put it outside of ourselves when we agree to play the separation game. That's real. And how is this separation game played? There's a few ways. I'm just going to name a few. And if you can resonate to some of them, chances are you can. The separation game is played when we react and when we believe what we see on social media. When we feel that fear, when we feel that anger, when we feel that pointing of our finger to another group of people, we are playing that game. We are playing that game and feeding to the separation narrative. When we encompass our identity around one side, that is playing the game of separation. Allowing ourselves to be divided as a species and turning our judgments, turning our opinions, and our fight towards one another, towards our own, towards ourselves, basically, at the end of the day. We play this game also when we hold extreme judgments on other people. Judging them on what they believe, judging them on the politics they follow, judging them on how they live their lives, how they see themselves, how they interact with the world. Judging them without having any piece of understanding of who they are and their lives as they are and what they've been through. We just judge. And that's that separation game, is that energy of judgment. We play the game when we tear people down for the way they think. We play the game when we close our minds to new concepts and ideas. That is huge. When we think that we know everything that we need to know, which, by the way, family, in my opinion, we should always have an open mind, always have an open heart to new ideas and concepts. When we close our mind and we refuse to hear other sides of opinions or other experiences from people on why they would think a certain way, that is a way of playing this separation game. That is a sure way of playing this game. When we lack compassion and understanding for others. When we take the I'm right, you're wrong approach. There are, as I say in other videos, billions of versions of the same truth. And those versions of the same truth can look wrong to another being who doesn't understand and doesn't feel that same truth, because we're not all meant to feel the same truth. There are 9 billion versions of the same truth that look different, that are diverse, that mean something different to each of us. And that's just the nature of who we are as humans. And a huge part of the separation game is when we stop thinking for ourselves and we stop questioning the narrative. When we just follow along with what the majority of the people or the sheep are doing, and we just assume that we just go with the majority and we stop thinking for ourselves, and this is what everyone's doing, this is how everyone's voting, this is how everything's going, this is their stance on this war or this situation, so I'm going to hop on because if it's the majority, it must be right, which could not be farther from the truth. The game of separation is surely played when we stop thinking for ourselves and we stop questioning the narrative of this reality, of this society that we are existing in. The way I see it is separation is rooted in the energy of fear and judgment. Low frequency stuff. Fear and judgment. Ultimately, I believe that the fear that allows us to separate ourselves from one another, to separate ourselves from nature, to separate ourselves from eternal source, from the truth of all that is. It comes from the deeper understanding that no one knows what's going on. That no one really knows what the hell is happening within humanity, within this world, within this universe, why we're here, how we got here, what's the purpose, what is life about. That's where I believe that fear comes from, where the separation can play so well into our minds and our hearts at this time. But even deeper than that fear of no one knowing what's really going on here, which I have learned to absolutely fall in love with that idea, with that reality, with that fact that nobody knows. But that's scary for a lot of people at first. But even deeper than that fear is, of course, the absence of love. It's the absence of connecting to the love that lives within each of us. We judge instead of love. We are fearful because we have been separated. We have been separated from the fact that unconditional love is the basis of this reality. That we only exist through the energy of unconditional love. Some of us have forgotten that. Some of us have forgotten that every breath is unconditional love. Every piece of nourishment that we eat from the earth is unconditional love. Every glass of water that we drink is unconditional love and life. Every time we're warm in a blanket or we turn the heat on in our house, that's unconditional love from the fire. Those 4 pillars of this reality are based and created in the energy of unconditional love, and we have been separated from that. We have forgotten that somewhere along the way. So that fear that feeds the separation, that judgment that feeds the separation, at the end of the day is a lack of recognizing the love that surrounds us, the love that we're swimming in at all times, the love that provides us with this opportunity to exist here. That's what I see really is happening, is that lack of unconditional love in our lives, in our hearts, within our minds, within our bodies. And that's why I see that separation has had such a long game within the human race. Such a long, powerful game. And I don't know about you guys, but when I see it's continuing, when I open my social media in the morning and it's this opinion, no, it's that opinion, and it's all the same political stuff. It's all about wars. It's all about presidents. It's all about these issues. And instead of actually coming together and turning our focus on how we can create a solution for these issues, we just attack each other. Like, you look at the comments in some of these social media things and it's so much hate. It's so much judgment. It's so much fear. It's so much fear when I see those negative comments or those people tearing people down who are sharing their own truth. No matter what that truth is, if I agree with it or not, I always see those people as extremely courageous. And then those people tear them down out of that fear, but really out of that lack of love that they have forgotten how to see in this world around them. And they don't actually lack love. They just have lacked the ability to perceive it and to feel it. And I see clearly that this pendulum swing of separation has to swing into the extreme right now before that illusion can fully dissolve. You know, that's humanity in our nature. Like, we know something is bad for us, but we're going to keep doing it until we almost die, you know, until it's at its extreme, until we wake up like, oh, like, I can't do that in my life anymore because it almost killed me. That's in our nature, you know? So we have to go into the extreme of separation for each human to pop its head above this game and recognize and breathe in the air like, whoa, maybe it was a game. Maybe it is an illusion. Like all of our heads are popped above the water now and we're all here. And we're all still one. And we're all still a family. And we're all still human, right? So I see the purpose of it at this time. I do. I really do. But it is becoming time, my family, where we need to use our discernment and see the energy of separation for what it is. It is time to really lock in our discernment now. To see it as a game that's being played out. To see it at its basis, an illusion. It's not real. There is no separation. There is no separation between anything in this life. Between us and this reality, between us and the earth, between me, between you. It's a mirror, it's a reflection, and we all hold pieces of that source, the eternal source, that source frequency. We are all fractions of that source. We all come from the same place. We all go towards the same place. We'll all be recycled back into this earth one day. We are not different. We really aren't. So we can see that separation is an energy now that keeps us small, that keeps us filled with fear and judgment, that keeps us fighting each other instead of using our personal power to change this reality for the better. My family, humanity does not need to come together as one big family in order for this world to change. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. And I'll explain to you what you can do, as I've explained in another video. And what's happening right now is more and more people are recognizing this joke of separation. This game that's being played out. Like we are little chess pieces on a chessboard. And someone's playing the game with us as the characters of the game. And what's happening right now is we are shifting into pure heart-centered living. That is a lot of the process of awakening for a lot of people, is to recognize this power, this responsibility, this awareness, this eternal essence that each of us holds. Remember that the mind, it loves to divide. It loves to divide. It's designed that way. It sorts, it labels, and it judges to feel safe, to lock ourselves into what we know because it feels safe within the mind. And it is also on a very linear track. The mind is a tool. It is not the whole of who you are. It's important to remember that. It allows us to perceive this reality so that we can function in it, basically. It's a tool for us to be able to be in this reality. That's what the mind is. If without the mind, we would be, I don't know what we would be doing. But it is time, my family, to let our hearts lead. To let the part of us that houses the Great Spirit to take lead now. At the center of all of us is that seed of unconditional love. That seed of source. It's not, that seed doesn't live within the mind, it lives within the heart, and it's time to let the heart lead now. Because your truth lives inside your heart. Your truth doesn't live inside your head. I can promise you that. And I'm praying that more and more of us can wake up to this immense power that we hold in our lives and recognize that we are in a purely symbiotic relationship with the reality in the world around us. And what we change from inside changes the outside. So yes, we have the ability to change the world, but from within. I talk about that all the time because it's so important to me that you remember that and you recognize that. I'm praying that we can stop feeding this system of hate and judgment and separation. That we can recognize that we are all related to all my relations. We are all related. We are one human race, existing on one massive, floating water rock that is existing in the middle of flipping nowhere. We are all in this experience together. And don't forget that it is each of our responsibility at this time to heal the hate, to heal the separation, to heal the war, and to heal the judgment within ourselves first. We all hold that responsibility at this time. Until enough of us do that, until enough of us heal that separation inside of ourselves, the game will be continued to play because we live in that reflection machine. So the outer world, all of the separation that's occurring is only occurring because a lot of us are holding it still. We fracture ourselves, we separate ourselves, we hate towards ourselves, we judge ourselves every single day. We have a war going on within our own hearts about who we are, what we've done, how we live, how we should be better. That stuff has to be cleaned, it has to be cleared, and it has to be healed in order for the game of separation to finally post game over, right? And so what you can do if you are recognizing like, man, I am playing this game of separation. Like every time I scroll on social media, I get so activated. Maybe I say mean things to people online. Maybe it puts me into a fear mongering state, or I'm getting way too attached to it. Whatever, all those things that I said, which are just very small examples of how we play this game. What you can do is take a digital detox. That is always so good for us, is to stop going on social media, stop watching digital stuff, and just slow down for a little bit, reconnect to how nature and where you live makes you feel every day, and step outside, connect to the ground, connect to the sky, remember that you're held, remember that you're supported here. And it's really helpful too to really notice now, like take that space of when you're watching content and how certain content makes you feel or react. If it's giving you fear, if it's making you angry, if it's making you upset, if it's making you really like not understand other people and how they could do these things, like take a pause. And remember that whatever you're feeling is the purpose of that content. So the purpose of that content is to make you feel fearful and angry and upset and mad at other humans. That's the purpose of it. So when you can start to recognize like that is the purpose of it, do I want to continue to make myself feel this way when I'm just trying to scroll and maybe relax? Be aware of who you're following and what you're following. And keep an open mind. Yeah, the next thing is, my family, open your mind a little more, open your eyes a little more, open your heart a little more, and be curious in this life. It's okay not to know what the truth is. It's okay not to know what the answer is. It's okay not to know what side you want to choose. Guess what? You don't have to choose a side. You don't have to form your whole identity within the separation game. That's an option. You can explore many sides. That's what I do. I love to explore sides and understand where each side is coming from, but I just sit myself in the middle and wait for people to come meet me there, basically. It is really powerful to start to really work on the energy of judgment. Try to pause. Try to put yourself in other people's shoes. Try to come from a place of understanding on how this came to be, why that person thinks in that extreme. Try to create that space before you just point your finger and you judge. Because whenever we point the finger, we have all these fingers pointing back at ourselves. So try to cultivate some compassion, some understanding towards people who think extremely different than you. It's a really good practice to do just before we go straight into judgment, straight into fear-based energies. Like, let's take a pause and try to understand, try to have compassion, try to recognize the fact that you haven't walked in their shoes. You know nothing about their life. And that's a really good thing to remember. It's also very good to accept that, yes, you can be wrong, or yes, you cannot know the full truth of what you believe. I think that sometimes people get really identified with certain sides or certain beliefs or certain situations because it has become their identity. And if they let their identity go, then that means to them, that means to their brain that they don't know who they are. And they're going to be lost, and they're maybe, like, the brain can literally think it's going to dissolve, like ego dissolution. When you fully wake up to the fact, like, oh, I know nothing, and I can be curious, and I can explore, and I can wonder what all these different facets of the truth are. So remember, that chances are you don't have all the answers. I know I don't have all the answers. And, we're meant to be curious in this life. I don't think we're meant to have all the answers, or else we would have them. So remember that it's okay not to know, or to be unsure on an opinion that you have, and you don't have to choose sides. That's the whole thing, because separation is an illusion. It's a game itself. You can choose not to play the game. That's what I do. I don't play the game. I don't get involved. I don't play the game. I sit in the middle, I neutralize my energy, and I just wait for humanity to come to that energy one day, because I know one day it will. And always remember, when you feel yourself lost in the sauce of separation, of judgment, of, hate, or whatever it is, war within yourself, all these things, remember that you are sacred. Remember that you are supported. Remember that you are loved unconditionally by this reality. You are loved unconditionally by your Creator. Nothing less than that. You would not be alive here at this time if you were not unconditionally loved. So remember that as well. And I just want to close with the reminders that love does not require agreement. You don't have to agree with someone to love them. Love simply requires openness. Openness to receive and openness to give. That's it. That's all it requires. Remember that this world is a mirror. The only reason separation and other energies like that are playing out at this time is because the majority of humanity is holding them. So remember that it's all of our responsibility to heal those energies within ourselves first. And I promise you, the outer world will change. It's just there hasn't been enough yet. And remember that the world truly changes. It truly changes when we stop choosing sides and we start choosing the truth. That's all I got for you today. Just really praying that more and more people can recognize that separation is simply a game. Separation is not really real. It's been a game that has been emphasized and expanded within society. And remember that you have the power to choose to not participate in the game of separation. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your energy. All my blessings, all my love.